Insecurity is the state of being subject to danger or injury. The anxiety that is experienced when one feels vulnerable and insecure. It is a fear of the unknown, a feeling of being unsafe. Also, it is a state of being unable to protect lives and property. In other words, a person is vulnerable to damage, injury, or loss from both internal and external causes. There are various types of insecurity in Nigeria, and they are job insecurity, food insecurity, political insecurity, economic insecurity, financial insecurity, social insecurity, demographic insecurity, gender, sexual insecurity, health insecurity, environmental insecurity, relationship insecurity, religious insecurity, moral insecurity, insecurity complex, personal insecurity. These types of insecurities are a threat to the growth of a developing society.
The level of insecurity in the country remains very disturbing, extremely disturbing. And there is no doubt that the various governments have done their bit, but the fact remains that there's much to be done. There's massively much to be done, especially in the area of provision of infrastructure for the fight against crime, especially violent crime. Government have not done much in terms of the provision of infrastructure and also the provision of intelligence for the fighting of crime. And my thinking is that we can do better than this.
Well, insecurity, what I would like to say is a state in which the people do not feel secured or do not have the right sense of belonging, in a community and society in which they belong. They begin to feel insecure when certain rights and privileges are denied, or when their lives are threatened, and the fact that they cannot do exactly what they wish to do, or have the rights as stated in the Constitution. Their rights are being denied one way or the other. So it all leads to one form of insecurity or the other.
We are living on uncertain times. And not only the uncertainty of the time, but also the insecurity that surrounds us. For many years now, we have been passing from one stage of violence and violent crime, banditry, and attacks on communities. Innocent citizens living their normal lives will just face attack in the middle of the night when there is nowhere to run to, and their lives decimated. And we appreciate what the government is doing in fighting this violent pandemic, because it is not limited to any part of the country. It is across the country. The Northwest, the Northeast, the North Central, the South-South, the Southeast, the Southwest, everywhere. And it has given rise to people resorting to self-defense. Whether spiritually, some are going back to their old traditional things, or forming vigilante, to the extent that we have regional security outfits, whether we like it or not. So security is an issue in this country. And whether we like it or not, it must be addressed, because without peace and security, there will be no progress, there will be no growth. And just as we are fighting violent crimes, we are also fighting arson. Our critical structures are being attacked. Offices, strategic offices being burnt down. And we have no answer for it. And it passes away. Nobody is held responsible. And it is swept under the carpet. In fact, as we continue to attack and destroy our critical infrastructure, the lives of our people, we will destroy this nation gradually. But the desire of God is that Nigeria will prosper. Whether we like it or not, Nigeria will prosper. God has special interest in Nigeria and in the role that Nigeria will play, not only in Africa, but in the world stage. Spiritually, physically, economically, politically, and otherwise. Take away Nigeria's role in the West African region, West Africa would have been decimated. And so, I believe that there is a purpose for Nigeria. There is future for Nigeria. And we are standing for that future, no matter the things that are surrounding us. And we are calling on the government and our security agencies to really stand up to these issues and help us. They are doing some work. They are trying their best. But we need that this must be done more.
There is a dramatic increase in violence, terrorism and the like in Nigeria today. We hear of series of bombings, shooting and killings, kidnappings, armed robbery and so on. These take place from north to south, east to west and almost on daily basis. Here are some highlights of the causes of insecurity in the society. They are porous borders. The free flow of migrants from other countries to Nigeria through our unguarded borders allow criminals to enter the country without check. Proliferation of arms and ammunition. Several arms halls have been seized at our air and sea ports, some in very large quantities. This is not good for the country. These arms of ammunition end up in the hands of criminals who apply the same in their nefarious activities in the country, thereby making life insecure for the people of their locality. Oil bunkering. Nigeria, as one of the largest oil-producing nations, suffers from the activities of illegal oil bunkering. This activity is promoted by the spate of insecurity in the country. This is backed up with criminals who are ready to die in Nigeria waterways. This therefore makes the coastal areas of our oil-producing states unsafe. Others are ethnic violence, unemployment, poverty, corruption, imbalance, weak judicial system, a high influx of arms, narcotics, slavery, criminal situation, terrorist threats, imposition of unpopular policies, external influence, inequality, and uneven development.
In Nigeria, particularly, the major causes of insecurity, first and foremost, is joblessness, lack of employment, and underemployment. Like you know, the idle mind is the devil's workshop. So one will expect that a busy person who is gainfully employed will not be interested in so much crime. Unfortunately, we have massive number of graduate unemployment in the country today. Those who are employed are not well paid. Our income ratio, which ought to be equidistant to inflation, is a problem. The income today does not indicate proper full employment. So what we have is underemployment. People are overworked, are underpaid, and it gives rise to all kinds of restiveness. So many other causes of crime in the society today has to do with societal values. In Nigeria today, there appears to be too much God and too little good. And it ought not to be that way, because God himself is good. So we pay a lot of lip service to goodness. And so much evil is allowed to be perpetuated in a society. Also, the one they call peer pressure, the need to be like everybody else. It's also a problem. A society where there is massive conspicuous consumption. Everybody wants to belong, and in the process, it generates crime and criminality. There are so many other reasons, but let me stop here for now.
Well, there are so many causes of insecurity. Let's look at it first from the physical point of view. When there are attacks on individuals, and so on, that is a form of insecurity. That is, we have incidences of thuggery, incidences of robbery, incidences of terrorism, of insurgency, and all those kind of things that affect individuals physically and all that. That's a form of insecurity. People being dislodged from their homes, people losing their lives, and also the fact that even when you are dislodged from your home, you have to go and seek solace somewhere, either within or outside the country, as internally displaced person or a refugee and all that. Those are serious forms of insecurity. And also, beyond the physical, there are also others, such as your rights in terms of being provided for. You live in a nation, and you can freely walk around. You can freely travel to wherever you feel without any fear of intimidation, any fear of being attacked. You have your food, that's food security. You can, if you are sick, you can walk to any hospital and get treated the way you should. I think those are security matters as well. So let us not focus on the fact that security only stands for maybe when people are attacked and so on. No, it's well beyond that, and that is why governments all over the world ensures that they not only put in place the armed forces or security agencies to address the needs of the people to ensure their safety, but they also put in place agencies of government that helps to ensure that the needs of the people are met. Just like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs that specifies the safety and others, and so on. So people should be able to live well within the society, and with that, security issues issues of insecurity will be at its lowest level.
There are a lot of effects of insecurity in our society. Some are social dislocation and population displacement, social tensions, and new pattern of settlements, which encourages Muslims, Christians, or members of an ethnic group moving to Christian Muslim-dominated enclaves, heightens citizenship questions, and encourages hostility between indigenes and settlers, dislocation and disruption of family and communal life, general atmosphere of mistrust, fear, anxiety, and frenzy, dehumanization of women, children, and men, especially in areas where rape, child abuse, and neglect are used as instruments of war, deepening of hunger and poverty in the polity, atmosphere of political insecurity and instability, including declining confidence in the political leadership, governance deficits as a result of security agencies' inefficiency, loss of man-hours due to shortened working hours by banks and commercial institutions, and the unprecedented loss of man-hours or closure of businesses by those who work at night due to the coffee consequent on the declaration of state of emergency in some states.
Security affects everything. from education, healthcare, even the worship of God. Check what is happening in the north. Churches have shut down because of insecurity. Schools have shut down because of insecurity. You cannot have meaningful economic activity in an unsecure society. A very good example is what happened in Aba when kidnapping was the order of the day. Every prominent businessman left town. Nobody was in Aba. For those who remained in Aba were those who could not have any other place to go to. So, insecurity affects every facet of the society. So, we should therefore take security very serious and make sure that it is put on the front burner in the country discourse.
Of course, when there is insecurity, no nation can thrive or can effectively pursue its economic plans as it should be. Like they said, when you fail to invest in development of the people, of the nation, and so on, obviously with time, as a matter of time, you begin to invest even a lot more on security, because you need to, the associated insecurity that will arise from the failures in other sectors will even take more funding than if development has actually been embarked upon. So insecurity has a serious effect on the development, on your ability of governments to carry out its constitutional roles, to the people. That is to ensure that the funding that should have been spent on security are actually spent on development, which will go a long way to make the people more comfortable, make the people happy, make the people think less of getting involved in various acts of criminality, within the nation. So it's important that when you take measures to reduce the level of insecurity in any nation, the people will be better off, the nation will be better off, and development can take place, prosperity can take place. The people will feel that they are part of the society, and they are not only part of the society, they are stakeholders in the society. And like Martin Luther King Jr. did say, when a set of people begin to feel that they do not have a stake in the development or in the society in which they live, they consciously or unconsciously begin to destroy that society. And that is part of what we are beginning to witness, in some of the revolts and so on that we are taking place all over the world, not just here. And let us also note that when some of these revolts take place, whether it starts from an individual or from a group of people, it can lead to a national issue. We saw what happened in the Arab Spring, where just one unemployed graduate, decided to set himself ablaze just for being deprived the opportunity of selling the fruits that he had put together. And at the end of the day, so many nations paid for it. Tunisia, not just Tunisia, but so many nations paid for that act of that individual. And yes, so when you begin to have a lot of such situations in other nations, then people should begin to set up and prepare adequately, address the needs of the youth or those people affected.
The effect of insecurity is to breed criminality, because it would seem that good people are being punished for being good because they are not being protected. So the younger generation are now noticing that it is useless to be peaceful and to be honest and to do a good job. So what they are breeding is criminality. And believe me, nobody's going to be safe very soon, because everyone is carrying gun, and there's a limited amount of preaching I can do for people to protect themselves. I'm limited. I can tell them, don't take guns, nobody's listening now. In fact, some of the young people are leaving the church and have gone back to paganism so that they can revenge. The church is the only institution that cries out and begs the people not to revenge. is the only institution that can do that. So when people now refuse to listen to the church, you can kill all the peaceful people, and then you will live with the terrible people very soon.
Well, for the Nigerian citizen, it is in line that the government should provide security, protection of lives and property for those who dwell therein in the nation. But with the situation on ground, we can see that there is a lot of trampling of people, and rights are also being trampled upon, and particularly the one that has to do with inalienable rights of the citizen.
One of the first duties of any government, any governor, is to provide security.
Everybody should take responsibility, but the government should try and provide security for us as citizens. But we should also try and take responsibilities. If you know where you are going that is not secured enough, please avoid such places. And some of our places like the southern Kaduna that people have been slaughtered and killed and houses burned, government should do something. The military should try as much as possible to provide security for them, and not just saying that we've done this, we've done that. The soldiers should be on ground to make sure that the lives and properties of people are secured.
Is it not therefore government's duty to provide justice for all people? If they are criminals, shouldn't government arrest criminals and protect the innocent? If it is an issue of people taking vengeance, shouldn't government mediate and bring peace amongst its people? If it is foreigners, should government allow foreigners run over its territories in Nigeria? So either way, the government is just not providing a sense of responsibility in its duty, for which citizens who are oppressed should feel trust to its government. I think our government is choosing a dangerous path for the future, because a day is coming, and it won't be long, when people who feel aggrieved will also take vengeance. Because irresponsibility of government does not excuse people from taking their grievances to the highest level. The duty of government is to provide justice for all people. If criminals have sneaked into the Fulani and are causing havoc, government alone has the power to arrest criminals, to bring criminals to justice. The church has no power to do that. The church cannot arrest anybody. The church cannot stop government from building classrooms. The church cannot protect itself from the injustice of any government. The church cannot. The church right now in parts of Plateau State and most of parts of northern Nigeria is an oppressed entity. And the government needs to change not only that perception but the reality, so that we all can live in peace. And why is that so? It is so because Nigeria did live in peace until recently. It was possible in Nigeria for Fulani to live in a community, and if a Fulani cow strayed into somebody's farm, the farmer reports to the Ardo sees the village head, the issues were settled. How come now Fulani cows can eat cabbages, eat pepper, eat tomato, eat maize, eat acha, and nothing will happen? In fact, on top of it, the farmer is killed. And you call it farmer-herder clashes? There's no bigger lie than that. It is government that's refusing to take responsibility and either covertly or inadvertently are supporting the killing of innocent citizens. It's not healthy for any nation.
Fighting insecurity is everybody's business. Like we said, often said, security is everybody's business. Also, peace it's everybody's business. Because we all have to work together to ensure peace in our society, in our community. So it's everybody's business. The government has to provide a conducive environment for people to contribute their quota to development, and that is why when we talk about the policing and police functions, in internal security, the police must be able to must be put in a position that they will be able to play their role effectively in enhancing internal security in any nation, which is their primary responsibility. And the armed forces must also be in a position, to be able to ensure that the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the nation is adequately taken care of, and also playing their subordinate role, not subordinate role, playing a secondary role, kind of, in supporting the the civil authority in enhancing security within the nation, which is why sometimes you see the army being called out, the military being called out, when there are acts of insecurity in the nation. So it's everybody's government, the government, federal government, state governments, local governments, even at what levels, and individuals. We all have roles to play. And sometimes too, and very importantly, I will talk about local ownership. Local ownership means that there are people who have a means to supporting others, who have a means to ensuring that the government is supported as well, and so on. They play their roles effectively. We have people who are so wealthy enough to be able to support others, to get them out of poverty, and so on. So when people like that play roles, it's all part of helping to solve problems of insecurity within a nation. So it's everybody's business.
Economic growth is the increasing capacity to satisfy the needs and wants of the economy over time. It is conventionally measured as the percentage rate of increase in real gross domestic product, or real GDP. On the other hand, economic development can be defined as the process of improving the quality of human life through increasing per capita income, reducing poverty, and enhancing individual economic opportunities. It is also sometimes defined to include better education, improved health and nutrition, conservation of natural resources, a clean environment, and a richer cultural life. When there is insecurity in a society, the growth of the economy is expected to decline.
Nigeria as citizens, it's to provide information to law enforcement. You have to provide information to law enforcement, because all crime can be nipped in the bud through information, and all crimes can be solved through information. Without information, nothing can be done. That is why we have acknowledged the need to have community policing put in place, because in community policing, the people are part of policing of their area. And the people are the ones that knows who the criminals are. And they know the appian ways the criminals take. So it is easier for the people to take part in securing their communities than to bring totally alien people or strange people in securing those specific areas. That is why we encourage community policing, and we urge the government to ensure that people take part in the policing of their areas.
Well, the people just have to, first and foremost, be well disciplined, well behaved. They have to take ownership of being citizens of the nation and ensuring that the nation survives. That's on one hand. They have to support the various authorities put in place, to ensure secure the nation. I mean, if you have information about an act of insecurity or an impending threat to the nation, and you do not supply that, you don't feed the authorities with the information, you are not helping yourself, you are not helping the nation as well. So there is so much that everybody has to do to ensure that security matters are placed at the appropriate level or the highest level of the nation, because the security and and development and other forms of survivability are all interlinked, and so on.
Security agencies cannot do much without societal support. Right now, the flow of information to security agencies is very little. So what I will urge the society to do and government to do, provide funding and intelligence. And security agencies work very well. They cannot work in isolation. They are not spirits. Even spirits have limitations.
Well, it's important for us to note that first and foremost, we all have roles to play. All the institutions that have been established by government, have well-defined rules, and especially the security agencies. There is no mincing words. These things are clearly spelled out, and they should focus on their primary duties, and not go out of what has been scheduled for them, because if they do so, they could be infringing on the responsibilities of other agencies as well. There's virtually no gaps, in terms of, if you look at all the agencies that are already in place. But the key thing is that every agency must perform its role as prescribed, either constitutionally or by various acts that established them, one way or the other. We have some agencies also that play complementary roles to each other. They should be able to work as a team in order to synergize. Otherwise, there would be problems, in the conduct of their operations. There would be clashes. There won't be areas in which maybe as a result of rivalry, the gaps will be created. Traditional institutions have a major role to play because they know the people, they live close to the people, and they know when criminals also live within their societies, and should be able to draw the attention of the security agencies to pick up such people or investigate or monitor such people with a view to ensuring that they do not commit crimes. But it's also important that issues of justice, is upheld, at all times. That is, injustices can create a lot of problems. Levels of brutality, high level of brutality, unnecessary killings of people and all that, can lead to problems. So people we should be able to uphold human dignity, and then ensure that justice prevails at all times, whether, no matter who is involved, whether a child, a male, female, and all that, we all have equal rights by virtue of the Constitution, and that should be ensured, and that should be taken care of.
My advice has been the same. I'm very confident and hopeful that God is a God of justice. Evil cannot continue forever. They may kill me, but God is a sovereign God, and like our primate has said, the Lord reigns, and these 10 years will be the years of the Lord reigning. The only thing I'll plead with the church is for us to walk in righteousness, in truth, and in holiness, and we ourselves within the church should show love and justice and holiness and righteousness and justice for all people, and God will show us mercy. Evil cannot rule forever. We've seen them all over history. It may be 50 years, it may be 20 years, it may be 30 years. We've seen kingdoms come and go. So the evils that men do now will live long after them, and their children will pay for it.
There are things to be done to stop the killings in southern Kaduna. Some of these things include, one, identifying who these killers are. Up till now, I am not sure the government and the people are ready and willing to say to the public who the killers are. Everybody rides on the back of Fulani headsmen that they are the killers. But this might not be completely true. There are influx of foreigners across West Africa, and this has not been checked. If government can be a little bit more serious, they can get who the killers are and who are involved in Southern Kaduna killing, and then deal decisively with the issue. Another way to deal with the situation is that government will find cartridges of bullets and weapons that have been used. If there is a war and you find weapons, who are the manufacturers of these weapons? Where do they come from? If they look at them very carefully and examine them and test these weapons, they will identify where they come from, and they can hold those people responsible for selling those weapons. Now, another thing is government can deal with it with dialogue, interface with the people. If it is a communal issue, there is need to dialogue with the people and come to agreement. Now, you agree with me that even in the context of war, the end result of a war is still going back to round-table discussion. So instead of fighting a war, why can't you start making peace on a round-table discussion? These are some of the things that can save the situations around Kaduna, Southern Kaduna killings and the country.
A situation in which evil is perpetrated in our communities and our traditional leadership, community leaders, state government, local government authority say that they don't know. And the police station in that local government and every this thing happen, they finish the operations and they go without anybody arresting even one person. Kai, one of our gaskeba. So I think that there is need for us to know that all of us, both citizens and the leadership of our communities and the government authority, are stakeholders in the security of this nation. You cannot enter into any community or bush. Every bush in this nation belongs to a community. And you tell me that kidnappers enter that forest and nobody saw them. They carry people into that place and nobody saw them. And people came and attack a people and nobody saw when they left and how they left. No, it is not true. So the real thing is for us to be sincere. Nigerians are deceiving themselves, whether in politics or community leadership or even religious leaders, because we don't want to be victimized or lose our friendship. Then we pay deaf ear. It is deceit, and deceit is the greatest thing that can ruin anybody and any nation. Let us call a spade a spade.
The increasing level of insecurity in Nigeria, occasioned by the activities of different groups, especially in the northern part of the country. For example, the northeast has instilled fear in both citizens and foreigners living in the country. The federal government have been put under pressure to find a lasting solution to security challenges facing the country. First, the government has called responsibilities to its citizens, the greatest being good governance, which political leaders pledge to provide, but which they renege at all levels. There is no doubt this could be remotely connected to the disaffection in the polity. The government should put all political options on the table, and nothing should be left in the search for peace. The presidency should be free to talk with any agitated group or segment without compromising public law and order or the corporate existence of the country. Secondly, the government should create an enabling environment for job opportunities for the teeming Nigerian youths. This can be done through laws, policies and provision of infrastructural facilities which will facilitate investment and creation of jobs by the private sector organizations in the country. Thirdly, terrorism is a global problem, especially after the 2001 attack on America by late Osama bin Laden al-Qaeda network. This calls for synergy with the international community to fight the scourge of terrorism. It should also diversify and strengthen its means of creating an avenue for international intelligence sharing and inter-agency cooperation through diplomatic channels pact. Fourthly, the security agencies including the police, CIA, Interpol, Army, SSS, Navy and Air Force should be trained and retrained in a modern way of combating terrorism. It should be supported and followed by the provision of modern equipment and facilities by the government to enhance intelligence gathering and effective coordination of the activities of security agencies in the country.
Interpol is international police. It's simple. And Nigeria is a member nation. There are 194 countries in Interpol. Nigeria is a member nation of Interpol. What Interpol does is to provide the tools for cross-border crime prevention. It must be international crime. Interpol does not necessarily get involved in domestic crime. So it must have to be a crime across the border. That is where Interpol comes. And what it does is it provides what is called the I-247. The I-247 is the tool that is necessary in combating cross-border crime among member nations. So the I-247 provides the list of stolen travel documents, list of stolen vehicles. It provides lists of missing persons, wanted persons around the globe, and so many other databases. In fact, there are 18 databases in Interpol systems. So what Interpol does is to also help member nations to ensure they put the necessary apparatus for combating crime. And also they conduct lots of research. For example, recently Interpol conducted a research to find out the level of the porousness of our borders. Nigeria has 5 major border points and about 28 minor ones, but we have over 1,000 illegal entry points. So when you are thinking or talking about closing the border, which one have you closed? The ones you are in control of or the ones that are illegal? So what Interpol does is to identify these areas and suggest solutions, ways and means of trying combating illegal movement into the country. And Interpol has been doing a whole lot to help member nations to achieve this. I am the systems consultant, so the Nigerian government, through me, have invested massively in setting up the Interpol systems. As I talk to you right now, the Interpol systems at the NCB, the NCB means the National Central Bureau of the Nigerian Police Force, is the best in Africa. And it was set up by my humble self. We have also extended the I-247, that's the Interpol systems, to EFCC. We have also extended to immigration. We are currently extending to the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, and then other law enforcement agencies. But right now, we have Interpol systems working in 3 principal locations. So that investment is in hundreds of millions of dollars, and that is what we have put in place. God willing, it will give us enormous share in stemming criminality in Nigeria and beyond.
Corruption is the bane of Nigeria's development. Thus, in the face of huge resources that accrue to Nigeria from high mineral resources, Majority of Nigerians still wallow in abject poverty as few people monopolize the resources. This attracts negative reactions from youths that impinge on our security. The war against corruption has to be total. The federal government should fish out the sponsors of criminal and terrorist groups, especially Nigerians, and make them face the law accordingly. It has become imperative to decentralize the Nigerian police force because of the increasing security challenges witnessed in the states instead of the present centralized system. At the state level, the commissioners of police are answerable to the Inspector General of Police (IG) and not the governors. Yet, the latter are responsible for breaches of security in their respective states. If and when approved, a law should be enacted by the National Assembly to forestall abuse by the governor. Finally, insecurity is the core responsibility of everybody. We are all responsible for the security of our life and property. Therefore, whatever way you will be able to protect your life and property from criminals and terrorists, you have to do so and also report any suspected person or action to the respected security agencies for immediate action.